Dear listener, you have to go right now. Please, I want you to go to the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store because there's so much there waiting for you. So much. T-shirts, hats. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And then you've got hoodies and pens and mugs. Oh my goodness me, it just never ends. I mean, you can get lost in there. You really can. So much more. Drinkware. Socks. That's right, socks. I mean, if you want to get fitted and kitted, this is the place to be. The Politicrat Daily Podcast online store. Shop there right now at the-politicrat.myshopify.com. That's the-politicrat.myshopify.com. Thank you for your support. Welcome to the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. It is Saturday, April 24th, 2021. On this edition of the Politicrat,
the referee takes a look at the watch, but on we play. Cooper.
yes!
It is a golden day for the Golden Boys in golden sunshine. Watford are back in the Premier League. Xisco Munoz has done it. The celebrations can now begin. It has been a horrible, tense 90 minutes of football. Now he can relax. Watford will join Norwich in the top flight next season. They have bounced back at the first attempt. Scott Duxbury, the Watford chairman and chief exec, can smile now, but he hasn't done all afternoon. He's been pacing up and down, but he can breathe a huge sigh of relief. But the little Spaniard, who nobody really knew when he came here, has pulled it off. He's been congratulated by all of his coaching staff. Troy Deeney is down there, Mr. Watford himself. Just a shame that fans aren't here to celebrate with them. Every single Watford player has played their part. Their 18th home win of the season. And it is the one that clinches promotion back to the Premier League for Watford.
we are back in the Premier League. Watford Football Club. What a day. And if you don't like sports, this is not the episode for you to listen to. More on Watford and their promotion back to the Premier League right after this. Those are the scenes that you just heard from Vicarage Road in Watford, Hertfordshire in England after the Watford Football Club first team, otherwise known as the Hornets, in English football in the Championship Division, ended up winning their game against Millwall 1-0. Millwall are from southeast London, and Watford are from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London, and they're from southwest Hertfordshire. And they were playing at home at Vicarage Road, and they knew that they needed one more victory on this season of 46 games in the Championship Division of English football. That's the second tier out of the 4 tiers of English football. If they won that game today against Millwall, that would mean they would return to the Premier League, the league that Watford were relegated from just 9 months ago. And thank goodness, although it was a very nerve-jangling 94 minutes, thank goodness Watford prevailed. 1-0 was the final score over Millwall. It was such a very difficult game after Watford ended up scoring from the penalty spot. Ismaila Sarr scoring his 13th goal of the season. Now look, for those of you who are not sports fans, this is not going to mean very much to you. And for those of you who are sports fans but are not Watford Football Club fans, it will mean nothing to you perhaps. But for those of you who are listening to this who are Watford Football Club fans, who have followed the team, who understand the team, who are supporters, whether you're supporters or fans, and there is a difference. Supporters are the ones who really do pile their money into the club, whether it's buying all the merchandise, whether it's traveling with them, whether it's, the season tickets, going to the events that the club holds. And, fans and supporters, I guess you could interchange them, but supporters are really there through the thick and the thin. The fans are too, but sometimes fans, we all can be fickle, but the supporters are the ones who really, devote time and effort and energy and everything else. But again, fans are fans, and there are real fans and true blue fans of Watford. And I say blue because Watford's original football kit colours were blue because they had printing presses in Watford, and their colours were kind of a printer's ink blue. And that used to be their original colour before it became the yellow and black and red that it now is, mostly yellow and black. I actually like the yellow and black better than the yellow, black and red. And Watford still do have the red colour on their kits, but Watford's kit this season was really great. I love their kit this season. The home kit that they won in today, that is really beautiful. I'm actually wearing that kit right now. You can't see it, but if you go on Twitter at The Popcorn, REEL, you will see yours truly donning the kit in some video and in a selfie picture. And also, Watford Football Club itself did a really nice promotion post-game show, promotion party show on this famous Saturday. It will go down in Watford lore in real history as the day that Watford got promoted back to the Premier League. And I also appear in a montage of photos that we submitted as fans and supporters to the Watford Promotion Party official YouTube, Watford official YouTube page earlier today. So listen, this was a really great day. If you are a Watford fan, this is a great, great day for you. And I hope you're celebrating wherever you are around the world. I hope you are having an alcoholic beverage or any beverage. It doesn't have to be alcohol, but I tell you, I'm going to definitely have one. I haven't yet, but I will. Because this is a really, really great achievement. Because it was so gut-wrenching to be relegated last time. I did an episode about Watford being relegated back in July of last year when they got relegated from the Premier League. It was a heartbreaking feeling. Every Watford fan knows how heartbreaking it was. Any team's fans whose club has been relegated know that feeling of disconsolation and just utter despair, really. I mean, this is really a horrible feeling. And look, some people on this planet only have football as the one thing in their lives, right? I mean, I'm not saying that to denigrate individuals who fit that bill. I'm saying that as an acknowledgement an acknowledgement of a real truth, is that there are things that people have in their lives, and maybe that one thing is football, maybe that one thing is music, maybe that one thing is comedy, maybe that one thing is movies, maybe that one thing is whatever. And this is a sacred thing for many millions of people. Whether that's the only thing in their lives or not, this is a really strong thing. And so that's why you saw the backlash this week from fans in England particularly, but also in other parts of the world too, to this Super League garbage, this Super League nonsense that these billionaire owners of some of these football clubs in the Premier League wanted to do. And everybody who is anybody as a football fan rejected it. There was no football fan that I've ever heard of who said, "Yay, I want Super League." Nobody said it. Said nobody ever. So everybody wanted the Premier League to stay as it was because, of course, once those teams leave the Premier League, the incentive of the Premier League and the way it's structured gets compromised. And even if those teams that wanted to go to Super League don't leave the Premier League, the specter of playing a tournament once a week, every week, and then still playing Premier League games, it undermines the Premier League and also is unfair for the players to be getting all kinds of extra games to play, which means more likelihood of injury. And sure, I'm sure the Super League was going to compensate them handsomely, but that's not the point. I mean, when are they going to have a life? Football is played basically all year round now, with all these qualifiers, the Euros, the World Cup qualifiers, Euro qualifiers. I mean, football now, and I'm not talking about the football that Americans play with their hands in the National Football League. I'm talking about actual real football. The football now is a 12-month-a-year sport. It's a year-round sport. And this was a very difficult last 12 months. And obviously this pandemic, which continues, fans have only really been in the stands just maybe for 5 to 6 games over these last, 12 plus months. It's been very difficult. The whole exercise has been a really difficult one. Lots of people who are fans of these clubs, including Watford, have lost their lives and never got to see this day for Watford. Graham Taylor, one of the great architects of the club in the 1970s and 80s, he never got to see this day today. But I am thinking of him, and I'm sure he is really appreciative somewhere, wherever he might be. And I know that his surviving spouse, Rita, must really feel very happy today, and surely is probably talking to Graham. Graham Taylor was a very important part of Watford Football Club, particularly in the 1970s into the 1980s. So those of you who don't know, he really brought the club from the bottom of English football to the very top of it in 5 years or 5 seasons. It was staggering. And, I really was really impressed with what he and the club did. Elton John was the chairman of the club during those years as well. And I'm sure that Sir Elton is really happy right now, wherever he might be. I think he's here in the United States somewhere. I don't know if it's Los Angeles or Atlanta. Wherever he might be, he has got to be pleased as punch. As are the supporters of the club. I am so proud of this club and what it does for people, what it does for able-bodied, non-able-bodied, what it does for gay, transgender, what it does for black people, what it does for brown. I mean, this club is such an inclusive club and a forward-thinking club, and a club that attains a level of commitment to excellence, commitment to treating everybody the same and respecting everybody and fighting racism and being an anti-racist football club. And, it continues to make strides, even though it even admits that it is not where it wants to be regarding full diversity and full representation. It's continuing to make strides. And I am just so pleased at what this club has accomplished this season. I could barely talk last July When I did that podcast episode, you can search for it. I believe it was July the 26th episode. July 26th of 2020. Just type in Watford in the search bar in the podcast area for the Politicrat. Oh my gosh, it was agony. Oh goodness, I couldn't do it. I couldn't write anything. I was so gutted to know that I watched the game, to know that when they went down, I knew that they were better than what that season showed. They just, it just got away from them in the last 5 games. But not this time. Watford are back in the big time. And by the way, when Watford got relegated just 9 months ago, their social media accounts did say, and I believe the chairman, Scott Duxbury, did say, that Watford were going to be back and that they were going to do everything in their power to make them the Premier League club that they really should be and are. And that's where they are and that's where they deserve to be. And we're going to do everything we can in our power to make sure that they come back as a Premier League club. And that's what's happened. Just under 9 months later, literally 2 days short of 9 full months. Exactly. Watford have returned to the Premier League thanks to their 1-0 victory in the English Football League Championship. They get promoted to Watford, and now these next 2 games are meaningless for Watford. They've already got the job done in terms of promotion. They are not most likely going to stop Norwich from winning 1 or even drawing these next 2 games. But if Watford are still in with a shout of the championship title, but trailing by 5 points with 2 games to play. If you do the simple math there, all it needs is Watford to drop points and Norwich not to do anything, really. And if Norwich don't do a thing, even if they lose the game, and Watford drop points, then Norwich will be champions. That's how it works. And Norwich just need to pick up 2 points. So that could be a combination of, that could be either Norwich drawing 2 games, it could be Watford drawing 1 game, it could be, it could be Watford losing a game. Anything but a Watford win would get Norwich into the championship title. That's what that means. Both Norwich and Watford are promoted already to the Premier League, so they've got nothing to play for in terms of promotion. It's just a case of which one of those 2 teams is going to win the championship crown. And we'll find out. Norwich play their next game against Rotherham. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. Norwich will play Reading. Got the wrong R club. So Norwich will play Reading. That's coming up. And then the following weekend after that, that's next weekend. And the following weekend after that, Watford are home against Swansea City. Now, that game is not going to mean anything at all to Watford. But Swansea City, that game could mean a heck of a lot to them because Swansea have struggled. And if they don't beat Reading tomorrow, if they don't manage to beat Reading tomorrow, Swansea are probably going to be looking at the number 6 seed in the playoffs. But that's a whole nother thing. Not a concern for me, not a concern for Watford fans at all. We are going up. We are going up. We are going up. Say we are going up. We are Premier League. Say we are Premier League.
My experience is well. All my life in my blood I have a winner. I won everything in my career, but I won't say of the fans. Sure, I give my maximum for the club. I know what is the responsibility when you are head coach of the Watford, and I'm sure I won't give my maximum.
That was Cisco Munoz, who is the manager of Watford Football Club, and his story is remarkable. And I know that is a word that gets used a lot in sports in particular, but it truly is. His story is a remarkable one. He had very little time at Dinamo Tbilisi, which is a club in the Republic of Georgia, not in the state of Georgia in the U.S., but in the Republic of Georgia, as in, in the Eastern Bloc of the of the world. And he ended up managing them to a title in the Georgia leagues, and it was a momentous occasion then. Could he do it again for Watford, though? It's possible Watford mathematically have a chance to win the championship title in England. It would be the first time they've ever done that. I think a lot of Watford fans, based on what I have asked on Twitter at the Popcorn REEL, have said that they are not really concerned about whether or not Watford go ahead and try to win the actual championship title or not. The main thing for them is that Watford have been promoted now to the Premier League. So if they do, they don't really mind. They don't really care one way or the other. And then there are a few fans who do care. It's about a 77% to 23% split, which shows you just how much people are they just want promotion. They just want to know that next season they'll be playing Premier League football. And that's what Watford will be doing. But Xisco Munoz is remarkable. He's just 40 years of age. He used to play football and was very good at it. He managed, as I said, in Dinamo Tbilisi for a very short period of time, helped get them back up to, got them to be champions, actually. He took over Watford with no managerial experience in England, never managed a Premier League club, never managed an English Football League Championship club, never managed any kind of club in any of the English leagues or in Scotland or anywhere else. And he came in. He was a real unknown quantity. He didn't have very much managerial experience at all, but lo and behold, the owner of Watford, Gino Pozzo, took him on, brought him in, and he was presented with a really difficult task. 12 points behind the leaders Norwich at the time on December the 26th, 2020. That's Boxing Day. Xisco Munoz debuted as the Watford manager on that particular day against a team that was flying high, with a 12-point lead over Watford, or a 9-point lead, I think, over Watford at the time. And Watford knew that if they didn't win the game, it could be a 12-point lead. It was 9 at the time. If they won the game, they'd be back only 6 points of Norwich. And this is the time when Watford were beginning to scuffle a bit. They were in 5th and 6th place and bouncing between 5th and 6th. Many of us as Watford fans were scratching our heads wondering, wait a minute, how come they're 5th or 6th? They should be either 1st or 2nd. Because Watford have better talent than what the table shows. And lo and behold, soon after, it was such a big deal. When Xisco won that game and Watford beat Norwich 1-0 at Vicarage Road on that Boxing Day in December 2020, it was a huge step forward. And the fans who were not there knew that this was a very impactful game. The players rushed up to Xisco, hugged him as if he were a brother of theirs. And that was the chemistry and camaraderie that we all noticed as Watford fans, that you couldn't deny that this man, after only a few days on the job, had already changed the atmosphere in that clubhouse and already made it more upbeat and more tight-knit and more of an, attacking-oriented team on the field of play. And it was just a marked difference from Vladimir Ivic, who Ivic was just somebody who was all no-nonsense, very dour, very serious, and that transmitted to the body language and demeanor of the players when they would come out of the tunnel and walk onto the pitch. There wouldn't be people smiling, there wouldn't be anything. It was a very dry experience, although Vladimir Ivic did manage to get something out of Watford, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. They sacked him, the Watford owners and board. They sacked him, a few weeks into the season, And actually, it was through months into the season. And then the big game was Norwich, and Watford won that game 1-0, as they've won so many games this season by that scoreline. And thus the new era began. And then the following week or week after, they took on Manchester United in the FA Cup. They lost that game 1-0. It was a spirited Watford performance at Old Trafford, but not enough. And then they played all these games in the English Football Championship, which were going to be materially difficult for them and were very demanding. But Watford passed a lot of these tests with flying colours, and there are some very significant goals that happened along the way that helped Watford to get the goal of promotion and maybe even a championship title. But the point is, one of the goals that was important for Watford to reach was to be able to beat Norwich. Had they lost the game in December against Norwich at Vicarage Road, they may well not be spraying champagne around tonight or drinking it, because Norwich City would have then this 12-point lead over them at just after Christmas, and that's a very difficult thing to overcome, given the fact that teams play all kinds of games in terms of their games that they play, and they are bound to drop points or not drop points. So Watford would have to rely on all kinds of things. But the point is that this is the story of how Watford's season started very well, then went mediocre and flat and uninspired, then really percolated around December and January, late December and January, and then really got off the mark in February. And Watford went on an unbeaten run that really keyed where they are. I think one of the biggest games they played was the following month, in March, when they beat Cardiff. That was a huge game. It looked as if it was heading for a draw, and Watford found a way to go up a gear with an excellent free kick. That free kick went straight past the goalkeeper, and Watford won in South Wales, in Cardiff, which is not an easy place to play. And to win there in the last dying seconds, and it's just amazing. That was the turning point of the season, I think, for me, for where Watford are. And, you know, I think people look back at that game. That was the game Watford were looking like they were going to only get 1 point from. Instead, they got 3 points, and that's because, I can guarantee you, it's because of this team, this great football team. Now, we'll see how they fare in the Premier League next season. Of course, Watford will have to strengthen, and they'll have to get reinforcements. Every Premier League team does that. That's not unusual. But it will be interesting to see how all of this, works or comes together or what. And, there's just so much that gets put in at a club to work so hard. People behind the scenes of the community trust at Watford, to the board, to the manager, to the backroom staff, to everybody, the players, you name it, other fans all around the world. It's just, it's just incredible. And it's a big thank you to all of those service workers and people who work at Watford and the community people. And it's just so important. And I just want to say thank you. This is such a moving day, I'm in terms of a sports day, I'm just very pleased that Watford are in the Premier League again, just 9 months after dropping out of it. And here I want to make this request right now, that, well, it's not a request, it's just a declaration, that I think Watford will be staying in the Premier League for quite some time to come. That's what my thinking is, and I'm not going to entertain anything different. Wow. I'm going to come back. We've got one more bit to play for you, to talk about and to play. And it's coming up right after this.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds.
There's a starman waiting in the skies.
He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me.
That was David Bowie with Starman. Of course, Starman Ismaila Sarr, the Watford winger, who is just, I think he's the player of the season at Watford. I know some people say Kiko Femenia, the informal polls I do on Twitter at the Popcorn REEL. And many of you who've answered that, who are Watford fans, say Kiko Femenia is the player of the season at Watford. I beg to differ. Ismaila Sarr, who is the club's record signing, Watford's record signing, and I've forgotten how much money now. I mean, it's been, 30-something million pounds, I think. I don't even remember. But the point is that he is paying back his transfer tag, his price tag. He really is. And he's had an outstanding season. He has done everything that the manager has asked him to do. Cisco Munoz has asked him to do everything, track back, to go forward, to be a playmaker, to score goals. I mean, his floor vision, his pitch vision is very good. He really is excellent on the pitch. He is really improving the way he runs with the ball. I mean, he doesn't just run with the ball, he runs with purpose, and he gets past his defenders, which he wasn't always doing earlier on in his footballing career. Now, Ismaila Sarr is only 23 years old. He's from Senegal. And he is lightning quick. When he gets the ball, he's gone. And you really have to pull him down to get it to stop him. And that's what led to the penalty today. Sarr got pulled down in the area. No hesitation. Referee points to the penalty spot. Away we go after just 11 minutes. 11 or 12 minutes. I think it's 11 minutes. 11 minutes into the game, Sarr scores from the penalty spot. And 1-0, that was the only goal of the game today, as Watford beat Millwall by a score of 1-0. And the name of the program, the Watford program today, was Sarman. You know, that's the Match magazine that you get, the program. And so that was on the front cover, and he was on the front cover of it. You can't find that program anywhere now. And I was trying to purchase it yesterday, and I had it ready to purchase, and then I completely did something else. It was, work related, and that distracted me. Well, I had to do it, and I completely never went back to the darn thing to purchase it. And then, of course, today, when I go to purchase that, I knew I was not going to find it, because that was the program. That was the promotion program, because you knew that once that game ended, that program was going to be impossible to find. And lo and behold, I was correct on that. And unfortunately, unless there are reprints of that program that are coming, or someone can give me that program, I'm not going to have that memento as a souvenir. However, if you are a Watford fan, or even if you're not, or if you are thinking of buying a gift for a Watford fan, Watford FC, Watford F as in Frank, C as in Charlie, which stands for Football Club, have a website called watfordfc.com. And on that website, they're doing sales of We Are Back in the Premier League merchandise. We're back. And it's really good. I like the T-shirts and I like the mugs and whatnot. And they'll probably be adding to that line of T-shirts. But look, you've got to check those out. Those are really good as well. As well as, of course, any merchandise obviously from Watford is recommended highly. And of course, I've got my own merchandise at the-politicrat.myshopify.com. And of course, that deals with the Destination series, which is all about all the places that this podcast definitely has got responses from and elsewhere, which I haven't yet published. But the point is that Watford fans, all of you out there listening, will find these to be of some benefit to you. So please check out the-politicrat.myshopify.com for all of your apparel needs. Right then. So, this has been a really good day. And it's just nice to talk about something that does not involve someone black being killed. It does not involve a police officer killing a black person, as has been the case here now for hundreds of years. But this whole week, there has just not been any breathing room. And for someone who's black, that is difficult when you've got nothing to hold on to in terms of the way of when are these cops going to stop doing this. That's what I mean. because everything else is everything else. But the question of when this cop or cops are going to start, or stop doing whatever they are doing, which I know is brutality, obviously, then, who knows? It's just a scary proposition. But that's all something to think about for some other time and some other day. And it's good to focus on, again, as I said, Watford Football Club. And I said to you that I was going to talk about Watford, but not yet. And what I really meant by all that was, forgive me for being cryptic, but what I really meant was I don't really want to jinx Watford's chances of being promoted to the top flight to the Premier League.
Omar Moore, all season long, Watford were a cut above. To bounce back so soon is a tribute to their hard work. Credit to the lads. You put in a shift day in, day out. The Golden Boys are back in the big time. Congratulations, lads. Bring on Neil Diamond. You Orleans. I think we're all looking forward to speaking to Cisco and finding a bit more about his Watford playlist, certainly for today.
A big thank you to Emma Saunders, whose voice you heard there reading out a tweet by yours truly that I sent in to the Watford Promotion Party hashtag in the post-game show today at Hive Live, which is Watford Football Club's official YouTube channel and official program, pre- and post-game program. So it was great to be read out on the air, and I thank Emma for the excellent work she does, and also for reading out my tweet and all the other tweets that she read out and the photos that displayed that you can't see, but you can see them if you go to Watford's promotion channel, which I will link to in the newsletter. This has just been a phenomenal day for Watford Football Club, and a really good day for it to be a Watford fan. It's just phenomenal what the manager has done. He's only been the manager of Watford for 4 months. I mean, not even 4 months yet. Not 4 full months yet, would you believe? He got to the manager's spot in Watford, as I said, on December the 26th, 2020. And here we are on Saturday, April the 24th, 2021. I mean, not even 4 months yet. So it's not even been a full 16 weeks that Cisco Munoz has been at Watford as the head coach. It's just incredible what they've done in that time. More home wins than anybody in the rest of English football, in the whole country, in the whole 4 divisions. Nobody else has got as many home wins as them. Nobody has as many points overall at home as they do. It's just incredible what they've done in this remarkable time. They've lost just 7 matches all season. I think they've lost only 3 since Cisco Munoz got to Watford last December. So between December 26th and April 24th, they've lost only 3 games. I can actually pick those games, exactly the games that they lost all in this calendar year of 2021, not counting the loss they got in the FA Cup third round to Manchester United. Well, who's not going to lose to Manchester United in the FA Cup third round? I mean, my gosh, doesn't everybody? But I'm talking about the league games. In terms of the league games that Watford played, they lost just 3 in this calendar year, 2021. Those 3 losses were as follows: Queen's Park Rangers at home, and the 2 away games they lost, Bournemouth away and Luton Town away, which was just last weekend. So a week ago today, Watford lost at home to Luton, and people were getting a little nervous. And I can't say I blame them. So, but the nerves eased significantly with a very impressive win against Norwich on Tuesday night. Norwich already had been promoted and looked as if they were on the beach in both of those games that they lost. But they were not on the beach today as they won their game against Queen's Park Rangers, which means now that if Watford drop points in either of their 2 remaining games, or Norwich were to win one of their 2 remaining games, or to get 2 points from their 2 remaining games, Norwich would be the champions of the championship. And they'd be lifting that trophy, as well as going with it to the Premier League. But Watford still have a chance. If Watford win their 2 games and Norwich do not pick up more than 1 more point in their Premier League, in the championship season, Watford will finish as champions. So there is something to play for in that regard. The question is, will Watford players really go for that now, since they've already attained the promotion, which is what the fans really want. They don't necessarily care, some of the fans at least, about championship title. They just want to get out of the division, and that's what Watford have done. They'll play in the Premier League next season, and it's going to be just a fantastic, fantastic feeling when fans are finally allowed back in, and when this virus has gone away, obviously, and when the team is back in the Premier League next season, beginning in August, and that would be a fascinating thing. Watford is a true family club. They do really treat people with respect, and there's more inclusion and diversity at Watford than there are in many and most sports outfits around the world, and I'm just thankful to be supporting a club who has all of those, that has all those great things. So that's really my that's really my view on all of this. And if you're not a Watford fan or a sports fan, well, come back tomorrow. I guarantee you we'll be back to politics, news, and other items for your perusal and consideration, and your hearing rather than your perusal. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for listening to what has been a remarkable day in the Championship. Watford promoted to the Premier League. Thank you very much for listening to this edition of the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. Dear listener, I wish to make a correction. During this podcast episode, I had said that Watford had lost only 3 games in the English Football Championship in the calendar year 2021. That was incorrect, and I apologize for it. Watford have lost 4 English Football League Championship games in the calendar year 2021, and those losses are as follows: away at Swansea by 2-1, home to Queen's Park Rangers by 2-1, away at Bournemouth by 1-0, and away at Luton 1-0. So those were 4 losses that Watford suffered in this calendar year 2021, not 3, as I incorrectly stated in the episode. My apologies.